What's up, my guitar nerds? It's Pete Thorn. Welcome to the studio. Check it out. The delicious new, fabulous sounding effects pedals from my friends at Universal Audio. They sound just terrific. You heard them on all the guitar parts on that track at the beginning of the video. Of course, when I heard UA was coming out with pedals, I was like, oh my god, these are going to be good, because I've been a big fan of their awesome interfaces and a user as well of their awesome interfaces, as well as their plugin effects for a long time. They make the best plugins in the business, so it stands to reason the pedals were going to be great, and sure enough they are. So this video is kind of a first impression sort of thing. I got the pedals, took this little board out, plugged them in, started to get some tones, and instantly got some inspiration and started just tracking a song. So I didn't crack any manual, didn't even look at their website, and I didn't even know exactly what was happening with some of the sounds when I was turning the knobs and flipping the switches and stuff. I just got sounds I liked, and then I tracked. So that's kind of what this is. It's like a first impression video in that spirit. Like maybe later on down the road, I will, focus in on each individual pedal and the individual features a bit more and do some more as far as making other videos. But for now, this one is going to kind of be just an overview and my initial first impressions about the sounds. Having said that, I understand a little bit more about the pedals now than even when I tracked those parts, because I've read up on them a bit. So just a few things about the features, and then we'll get on to soloing a bunch of those parts from the song outside of the mix, so you can hear the tones that I came up with really clearly, and also play a little bit more through the delay and through the reverb, give you some more sound examples. So the Astra modulation pedal, this has a few different modes in it. It's got a chorus vibrato mode where they really nailed the 70s Japan-made chorus vibrato sounds, those gooey, awesome, sounds that just in stereo are kind of addictive. I love chorus and I love vibrato, so for me it's just like, yeah. And I turned this thing on. You heard it right at the beginning, even before the song started when I'm playing through it, and it splits into stereo and just sounds awesome. Then there's some flanging doubling effects as well, and those sound awesome as well. There's a part in the track that I'll solo for you in a second that is so cool, because the flanger just is so cool in stereo. It sounds great. Could I say it's so cool more maybe? But anyway, it's so cool. And then there's also a couple of amp style trem sounds in there, a more sort of square wave one and a more softer one. So I used a little bit of tremolo in that track as well. And there's lots of options in there as far as tweaking modulation and kind of the tone of the effects and all that good stuff as well. For the Starlight delay, you got a few different options in there. Some tape delays that sound just great. There's also analog delays, and they are like, they sound like the real thing. And then there's a straight up digital delay as well. And you get options for, like I say, in between each of those modes, like the analog, the tape, and the digital, of kind of tweaking the sound and getting it into some different places with this switch right here, as well as the controls. You got this color control that really lets you drive the delay hard if you want to and kind of distort it and get, really gooey and syrupy. There's a lot of character there. And then a control for the modulation as well on the delay, so you can get super seasick modulated analog delay if you want, or straight up delay with no mod. There's also a tap, so you can tap in the time, and then there's a subdivisions control here that'll give you all the standard stuff like quarters, eighths, dotted eighths. And then there's a couple of subdivisions where you get like a quarter and a dotted eighth. And if you got the pedal plugged in stereo, those will go into the different stereo channels, and it sounds just great when they wash across the stereo spectrum. For the kind of faux steel guitar part that I did in that track, it just, it's real short, it's just a few bars long, but you'll hear me do that where there's a quarter note on one side and a dotted eighth on the other side, and it just kind of washes across. Sounds really neat. Then you got the Golden Reverberator. I don't know why I keep saying that. This has got spring reverbs as well as Hall, as well as plate style reverbs. And you can do everything from, straight up kind of transparent Halls to really seasick modulated spring reverbs with a lot of character. So more on that in just a second. I'll be playing through that a little bit more, and I'll show you that. And lots of options there as well for fine tuning the tone of the reverb with the bass and treble controls and modulation control. All right, so let's get on to it. Here's the tones that I came up with in that song from the beginning of the video, as well as a few more sound examples. So for the muted eighth note part that comes in kind of halfway through the tune, I used just the Starlight delay for that part, and I've got it on the EP3 tape setting, and I used a pattern delay that's, I think it's a quarter and a dotted eighth. So when I play, it's just one repeat. I love that tone. It's really cool, like the rhythmic kind of pulse it gives to the song, I think. Got just a little bit of modulation going, and I've got the color control cranked up to about 2 o'clock, so it's kind of driving hard into the delay, and maybe giving it a little bit of crunch, a little bit of overdrive actually on the delay. Yeah, it's a little bit distorted, a little dirty, it's got character. So for the middle of the tune, I also did this kind of high tremolo picked part to just add atmosphere and kind of float behind everything. And I used the reverb for that. And I used a heavily modulated, really effecty spring reverb sound for this, with the effects at almost 100% wet. With no reverb, it sounds like this. But turning on the reverb. You can hear all that cool mod on the tail and how kind of dirty it is, and I don't know. These pedals, they really excel at doing kind of warm, analog, gooey tones that you can swim in, which I love. I mean, it reminds me of back, you know, in the days of when there only was analog stuff. It was like you'd turn it on, it would really do something, you know, the pedal or the spring reverb or whatever it was really had an effect, and these really have an effect. Of course, you can dial the mix back and make it subtle, but when you want to dial it up and really make it special, you can. Little aside, I should mention, I tracked almost all the parts in the song at the beginning in stereo by running my guitar into these pedals and then coming stereo out of the last one, the reverb. So it's running stereo all the way through, and then going into 2 amp sims actually. So I was using like 2 inputs on my UA interface, and then I pulled up a couple of instances of the Friedman DS40 plugin. I'm going to give away one of my secrets right now. This plugin, how it opens up, okay, whatever speaker sim it's on when you open it, okay, just turn the presence up a little bit, turn the treble up a little bit, put the master on 10, and put the gain, actually I don't know why it's all the way down, put the gain on about 2. With the gain switch here, the input gain switch on low, makes a killer clean pedal platform in the virtual world. You'll thank me later, give it a try. And then for some of the other parts, I used my PT100 signature plugin from UA, Sir, and Brainworks as well. It's just a little trick of mine. I'll like pull up a nice sound that I really dig, and then I'll copy paste it onto 2 tracks in unison in the Apollo console. And so it's basically like having 2 amps set exactly the same, and then you hard pan them left and right, and you get this huge wash across the stereo spectrum. Just sounds awesome. So for the lead guitar part in that track, I did something a little different. I ran into my PT15 amp right into the front end, and then I came out of the speaker emulated output, and I ran into the first pedal, the Astra. And actually all I ended up using, I think, was the echo and the reverb. And so you're hearing those effects come post-amp, essentially, even post-speaker sim for that sound. They work just great like that. I used a straight-up digital-style delay and just quarter notes straight up the middle in mono, and then there's some stereo reverb going on as well. Thanks for watching my video on these terrific new pedals from UA. My first impression was these rule. I wasn't expecting any less, really. I would have been disappointed had they not lived up to that expectation, because UA makes awesome stuff. But I love how they don't screw around. You know, when they come up with new gear, they know that people expect a lot of them, and they generally hit it out of the park pretty strong. And that description totally applies to these. These just sound terrific. And, you know, I can't wait to see what they do next. It's nice they're making products for us guitar players, because we're guitar players. I'm a guitar player. You're guitar players. So we're excited about this stuff. You can check them out further at the website there in the video description below. Click there. It'll take you to more info, more videos, and all that good stuff about the terrific new UA pedals. Please hit subscribe if you haven't hit the little bell beside the subscribe. You'll get an alert when I put out a new video. My arm hurts. I have to put this down, so I'm going to go now. So you guys take care. Over and out.